Greetings, y'all. Of course, this is Fashayo. I'm intending on making this a quick Wild Women Wednesday. Partly because it's late, and partly because my husband has to come out here and do some spirit work. So, the thing I wanted to talk about, as you can see by the title, is looking at the woman in the mirror. This topic is actually coming from the interview that they did, that Soul's Kitchen did with Toki of Yeye's Botanica, and a conversation I had with, hey babe, a conversation that I had with Ananda Free earlier today. And go ahead and make sure that you share with your followers and share on Twitter and do all that good stuff. Fiery Blue, hey sugar. But this is something I wanted to talk about, and it's kind of been on my mind ever since I saw Good Evening. It's been on my mind ever since I saw the interview with Toki, because she talked at one point about the mirror. She talked about Ashun's mirror. And Ashun, or yeah, to the daughters of Ashun in the building. Thank y'all for inviting followers. But Ashun's mirror, a lot of times you hear it spoken of in a way that talks about her being vain and, knowing that she's pretty and, things like that. And yeah, I can say that I was one who, thank you. I was one who stared in the mirror a lot, that I thought was vanity when I was younger. I later found out I think I was starting on mirror gazing. But this is the thing that I wanted to talk about, and specifically Ashun. But Ashun's daughters who refuse to look at themselves in the mirror. The mirror is about really taking a good, real, honest look at yourself. The mirror indicates and talks about self-work. The mirror is about seeing your real self. It's about seeing the things that are absolutely beautiful about you. But it's also about the things that, it's also about seeing the things that could use some work. The mirror for me talks about being willing to look at the self and doing the self work. A lot of time we talk about things in regards to looking at other people and saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and she did this and she needs to do that. We talk about the outside. We talk about the others, the other people. But a lot of times we don't want to do the self-work, and we don't want to talk about what it is that we need to do. So tonight we're talking about Ashun's daughters who refuse to look in the mirror. We're talking about Ashun's daughters who have dirty mirrors, who cannot see clearly. And like I said, this came from an interview that was done by Soul's Kitchen with Toki of Yeye's Botanica, and by way of a conversation I had with the beautiful, illustrious Ananda Free today on the telephone. But the thing that I really just want us to explore tonight is, when you take a look in the mirror, or if you are willing to take a look in the mirror, what is it that you see? Are you able to do the black obsidian work of finding your own faults? Or do you have to wait for life to come and show you your faults by way of embarrassment, by way of a breaking of your pride, by a way of forced humility? Because a lot of times it's easy for me to say that another woman has fallen short, but it's so difficult for me to say, you know what? Her falling short was really a reflection of me. It was showing me my own shit. And the other thing is you want to be careful of keeping company. And I'm talking about women because I'm a woman and that's who I'm called to. I'm not called to men. I'm not called to guide men. That's just not my calling. I love my husband and I love my son, but men are just not my speciality. But when we look at others and we say, they, your time would be better spent saying, what is it that I need to do? And I talk about myself because I'm a big believer in self-work. I was one of the ones who, especially when I was a minister, arrogant as hell. Do you hear me? I mean, arrogant because, I was the intercessor and I was the prophetess and I was a minister and I was all of these things. And so I was very clearly exalted above the lay people, and you'll notice that even though you may not call it lay people in other traditions, there's always a name for the regular people, the people that don't have a position. And so a lot of times I couldn't see my own shit because I was so damn deep, because I had arrived. I had a connection to God that nobody else had. And the thing is that it prevented me from doing the self-work. It prevented me from taking a real honest look at myself. My pride and my arrogance and my fear. And my fear kept me from taking a real honest look, because if you take an honest look, then you got to do the work, because now you can't say you don't know. One of the areas, for instance, that I do not touch with the 10-foot pole is marriages. How to stay married. Let me tell y'all why I don't do that shit. Because I have been married. This is my second marriage. Exactly. This is my second marriage. I was married the first time for like 3 years, and then I found my mind and, got out of it. This time I've been married 9 years. I have no idea, but I will look if you remind me later. Inbox me later and I'll tell you. But I've been married 9 years now. But I don't even feel like 9 years is enough time under my belt to tell people how to stay married and all that stuff. What I do tell people is how you can tear a relationship up. So basically, at one time, no, I was arrogant enough that I thought I could tell people all about marriage. I don't think that anymore. Why? Because I have not done enough work. Our marriage is not grown enough for me to go out, call myself telling people, but see, this is what you need to do. This is why your marriage fell apart. This is why, this is why, this is why. One thing that Ananda said to me today that gave me the words that I have been looking for is that we don't, and I can't, now this might not be verbatim. So Ananda, if you're watching this later, I apologize if this is not word for word. But we essentially came to the agreement that you do not discuss things from a coaching or guidance or elder standpoint that you have not had victory over. I have not had victory over a long-term marriage. 9 years is not a long time. So I do not discuss that. Now, if you want to talk about children and repairing your relationship with your children because you were a yeller or a screamer or you just did not connect well and things like that, I'll guide on that. I'll do coaching on that. Why? Because I had ruined my relationship with my kids, in my opinion. And then I was able to be transparent enough with them that I was able to repair. And I have a beautiful relationship with my children now. And it is awesome. I've even, from a child's point of view, I guess, been able to do my part in repairing the relationship with my father with very little change on his end, but being able to change my perspective. So that's why I'm able to offer coaching in those areas. But I had to look in the mirror and say, these are the things, Fashayo, that you really need to get your shit together on. You know, my daddy is 66 years old. I'm 38. My daddy is 66 years old. And so He's going to change if he wants to. Policing him is not going to change anything, but what I can change is myself. So I can look in my mirror, I can hold my mirror up to my face and say, well, Fashayo, what are the things that you can change to make this easier? Because I have the wisdom to understand that out of the 3 siblings, out of the 3 of us, that I'm the caregiver. So for me to be able to care for my father well in his older, his elder years as he gets older, it does. All of it starts with you. Then I need to be able to make sure that we have a decent enough relationship where I can do it with a good attitude. So what can I change about me? Not what can I get my 66-year-old daddy to change about himself. And that's why I'm so big, and I tell my children this too. Do you want me to police you, or do you want to police yourself? And it's the same thing. Thank you for inviting followers, y'all. Thank y'all for the hearts. I'm sorry for not saying thank you before. But the thing is that I can always change myself for the better. Now, it does not mean that I'm going to change myself to make other people comfortable. Not necessarily. But when I see that a part of my behavior is not working, when I see that a part of my beliefs are not working, then I'm able to change those things. But it's easier for me to change me than for me to sit there and try to control another person. And so the thing is, again, when we hold up the mirror, we want to hold up the mirror to get a good look at ourselves, to really take stock of who we actually are. The mirror is to check your hair, check your makeup for things that we consider vain. Yes, the mirror does serve that purpose. But the mirror is for self-work. Yeah, the mirror is for self-work. And the thing is that it always starts with you. Everything starts with you. Even when I did the series for Honey Please Buzz, Sisterhood with the Chakras, it's like I wanted to keep reiterating, we're looking at you and your chakras. So I'm going to look at me. I found that my root chakra, especially with what I was going through at the time, because I was going through. You probably couldn't tell by the classes, but I was going through some shit at the time that had my root chakra raggedy. So when we hit certain chakras, y'all would hear me say, all right, y'all, this is one that I'm kind of struggling with. Because I can't teach you from a victorious place, but I can teach you from a self-examining place. I can teach you from I kind of struggle with that place. So we hold the mirror up to hold ourselves accountable. The other thing that holding the mirror up to ourselves does is it keeps you from being embarrassed. It keeps you from being embarrassed. It keeps you from getting to be such a public figure. Let me say it like this. How many times have we seen public figures talk real big about a topic and then have themselves be embarrassed later because you find out that they ain't about that life for real? So right now, Hillary Clinton is, and I don't care who y'all vote for, I'm just using this as an example. Hillary Clinton has been said to be somebody who kind of goes with the ebb and flow of whatever black people want, right? Whatever women want. So she'll change, and back here, she believed this about women and black people, and now all of a sudden she believes this about women and black people. And so the thing is that what's happening is she's being exposed as being a fraud because she's not standing on what her own beliefs are. She's standing on what she thinks people want to hear. So it's like when we hold the mirror up to ourselves, it's like, okay, let me stand for what I really believe, whether people believe it or not, whether people agree with it or not. And I'm going to tell you it is a lonely place, but I'm going to tell you what it does. It keeps you from being embarrassed. I have told this story many times on the channel about how when my daughter was small, we were in a situation where essentially I was homeless. And we didn't have enough food. She was drinking curdled milk. It was horrible. But that was all I could do at the time. The thing is that I tell y'all those stories, one, because I feel like it might help somebody. Two, it'll give somebody else who struggle in a similar way or some other way the permission to tell their story, understanding that it's not gonna like end your reputation because somebody knew that you had a rough patch. Three, hopefully my tears will save y'all from having to have those same tears fall. And four, you can't embarrass me with shit that's public. So you cannot all of a sudden, like, there's no stories that you can tell. It's like, oh, Fashara had this secret and she didn't want anybody to know, so I'm gonna expose her. Y'all, I'm having to plug up my charger. Hold on. She didn't want anybody to know about this or that. I don't have those kind of stories. I don't have things that have happened to me that I'm embarrassed about. Because I learned from them. But I hold up, but it's because the whole time not the whole time, because that's a lie. But see, it's not, you know what? My transparency gives other people the freedom and sometimes the courage to do the same. Because it's not embarrassing. Yeah, my life wasn't what I wanted it to be, but everybody goes through those moments. Yeah, everybody goes through those moments. I wasn't the best parent. All I used to do was yell and scream and beat my kids. I could literally feel the energy shift when I walk into the room. Everybody was scared of me when I walked in because I rule with an iron fist. I ain't play that. And I ain't asked no whole bunch of questions before I start whooping people asses. And then when I started studying different like parenting strategies or whatever, then I was rough. When I started studying different parenting strategies, I let the kids know what I was doing. I was like, because with my daughter, she was younger. And I told her, I said, listen, it's not right for me to yell at you for everything. And I included her in it. I was like, so I gave her like a safe phrase, a safe word for when I started yelling. And I was like, just say, Mommy, you said you wouldn't yell at me. And then that'll kind of bring me back around. And it did. So when I would start yelling and screaming and going on like a nut, then she would say, well, Mommy, you told me that you wouldn't yell at me. And it reminded me of the promise that I had made to her. And so that was kind of how I trained myself. My daughter now is 16 years old. And now because I don't scream and yell all the time, and because they know that they actually can come to me with anything, it can be tough because sometimes they come to you with stuff that you just are not ready for. But they're coming to me instead of coming to their friends. They ask me about all the stuff that you don't want their friends to tell them about. Like, we talk openly about sex and all that stuff. I mean, it's a running joke in the house that when somebody calls my name right after a shower, I'm about to see balls or coochie or titties or something like that because they like, hey, is this normal? Should this look like this? Or I got this going on here. Can you come look at it? And I walk in the room to like straight balls, just all up in the air, But that was because my parenting changed because I wanted to be better. I started to remember the things that I did not like experiencing as a child, and I didn't want to do that to them because I wanted to give them a better experience. My parents did what they knew how to do. They did what they knew how to do. But I took what they knew and what they did, and then I was like, okay, well, that's what they did, but I can do better. You know what I'm saying? So not to dishonor my parents, but because y'all know how I feel about my mama. Y'all know I love Jane now. But just knowing that they did what they could do, and oh, what happened?